Yes, the breaking news tonight. Manchester City are in talks with Frankfurt over their striker Omar Marmoush. Manchester United don't want to sell Kobbie Mainoo, but concede no player in the squad is untouchable. And just after 48 hours after signing goalkeeper Antonin Kinsky, he starts. He's going to make his Tottenham debut against Liverpool in the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final tonight. Good evening. Welcome along to the Transfer Show. Michael Bridge and Arne Slot are our experts tonight. Yeah. As the champions make their move to reignite their faltering season. Plus, with the fans crying out for attacking reinforcements, we talk Arsenal. And we'll have the latest from West Ham. Graham Potter is poised to take over after Julen Lopetegui was finally sacked. But let's start with Manchester City. Pep Guardiola told us expect incomings, and progress has been made in the pursuit of Eintracht Frankfurt's Omar Marmoush. Now, before we hear from Michael and Darmesh, let's hear from Sky Germany.
After 13 goals and 8 assists in the first half of this Bundesliga season, and after very, very incredible performances, Manchester City now pushing to sign Omar Marmoush. Concrete negotiations are currently taking place between Manchester City and the management of Omar Marmoush. We have been told that discussions on the player side are very well advanced, but a full verbal agreement has not yet been reached. The 25-year-old Egyptian versatile top striker, he loves Eintracht Frankfurt, but he's open to an immediate transfer in winter as it represents a unique opportunity for him and Omar Marmoush. He knows that Pep Guardiola, he really wants him. Man City are offering him a long-term contract until 2029 or 2030. However, there are no negotiations with Eintracht Frankfurt yet. They will take place after the full verbal agreement with the player. The price, around 50 until 60 million euro, included bonus payments.
That's the view from Germany. What's the view from your seat, Arne Slot?
I mean, it's an interesting potential signing for City. We were learning earlier on this week that they were interested, that they do need to go into the market given the number of injuries that they've got and how maybe City need a kind of a mini rebuild at the moment with a number of players that could leave at the end of the season. But like I've been saying with the January transfer window, it's a problematic window. This one would still be quite a difficult deal to do because successful players who are at successful clubs, it's very difficult to get them out of that successful club, particularly because that club will not want to do business in the middle of a season. Now, Eintracht Frankfurt, they're third in the Bundesliga. They're going for Champions League qualification for next season. Only Harry Kane has scored more Bundesliga goals than Omar Marmoush so far this season. His record is pretty good, though. 13 league goals from 15 starts in the league, 5 goals in 7 Europa League starts in the Europa League as well. But on the other hand, if you look at the form he's in, is it an opportunity for Eintracht Frankfurt to maybe optimise the amount of money that they could get for Omar Marmoush? He's got 2.5 years left on his contract. Just say, for example, they don't negotiate with City and they don't sell Marmoush and his form isn't as good as it was before. What would that do to the transfer fee? And of course, he will then have 2 years left on his contract come the summer. So there'll be plenty for Eintracht Frankfurt to think about, but clearly Manchester City are really, really interested.
So, City getting busy. Michael, are they going to get busier?
Yeah, I mean, they're also looking for a centre-half, Mike, and the centre-half is the lone centre-back, Abdulkadir Kusanov. Friend of Sky Sports News, David Ornstein, who's on back pages tonight, has reported that in the last hour, and I'm sure has more on that tonight. So it's clear, and Pep Guardiola's said this most Fridays to us and to our reporters, that they need to do something, and it looks like they're going to do so. OK, let's talk Tottenham Hotspur. We've been wondering whether Ange Postecoglou would start his new goalkeeper, Antonin Kinsky, tonight against Liverpool. He's done that, Michael. What do you reckon? Yeah, I mean, he's had a full training session yesterday, albeit only one, granted, but he's signed. He has to come straight in. Fraser Forster's ill. Brandon Austin has played one senior game in his whole career, and he's 26 now, and that was on Saturday against Newcastle. This is a player who Spurs were looking to sign in the summer, but because of everything going on with the injuries, they've brought him now. He's very highly regarded. I'm told he's going to wear short sleeves tonight. I mean, it's cold. It is cold tonight.
So you're saying he's a tough man. What are you saying?
He could be a tough cookie, Mike, but I'll tell you what, he's looking at the net at the moment and hearing the Liverpool side tonight.
He'll be picking the ball out of it.
Well, I hope not, Mike, but I was going to say he might have a busy night. But it's some debut. But look, I'm telling you, in the summer, he will go head-to-head against Guillermo Vicario for the #1 spot. He's not signed as a backup. And as I say, he was a name brought to me a while back for next summer to be up against Guillermo Vicario, but he's out till February, March with a broken ankle, so he will be Tottenham's first choice goalkeeper. Good luck tonight, though, because as I say, I think we'll get it soon, but Liverpool's team sounds very strong tonight.
Sounds strong. Do you know, is Trent playing?
He's on the bench, Mike, but look, Liverpool and Arne Slot have played a number of academy players in this tournament so far, but not tonight. Alisson, Van Dijk, McAllister, Mo Salah, Jones, Gakpo, Jota, Tsimikas, Gravenberch, Quansah and Bradley is the team. So that is a very, very strong team. Trent Alexander-Arnold is on the bench, but it's a very strong side. But people wondering, why has Arne Slot gone so strong? They have Accrington Stanley at home at the weekend in the FA Cup. And also the second leg, I think it's nearly 3 to 4 weeks away, Mike. That's in the middle of big Premier League matches, Champions League games. Maybe Arne Slot's looking at it. Well, they scored 6 at Spurs the other week. So, maybe...
Well, you go strong, because you're not that far away from lifting a trophy.
No, absolutely.
You go strong.
No, of course. But if we remember in the League Cup final last year, Jurgen Klopp played a number of academy players and still beat Chelsea. It's usually against Southampton they played academy players, but Arne Slot has gone strong tonight.
I'm hearing there's breaking news from West Ham, Arne Slot.
There is? Oh, there you go. Oh, West Ham. Apparently Graham Potter has been announced. Is that right?
I'm hearing Graham Potter has got a 2.5-year deal. That was almost like Chris Kamara, that.
There you go. Well,
2.5-year deal.
I've obviously not got my emails up.
Yeah, 2.5-year deal.
Okay.
And so there's a news conference tomorrow.
Yeah.
At 9:30. So we'll see Graham Potter. Do you think the West Ham fans will be delighted that they've got him, Michael?
Look, David Moyes did an excellent job at West Ham United. He won them a trophy. But there was always that, in terms of football. But Lopetegui, no one seemed to be too excited by Julian Lopetegui's appointment, despite what he'd achieved in Spain. It was a difficult period for him at Wolves. I think he wanted a bit more money and it didn't really totally work out for him. But West Ham didn't really fit. But Graham Potter, for him, it gets to a stage, he's linked with so many jobs. He was linked with he offered the Ajax job. He had to get back into football. It's not as if West Ham are bottom of the league. They're what, 13th, 14th. So, and he's got a very decent squad there as well. OK, Jarrod Bowen's injured at the moment, but I think it's a good move for Graham Potter. It's a big club, West Ham, 60,000 stadium, 60,000 every week. I think it's a good move for him.
Darmesh, we said they won the window, didn't we, in the summer? They spent a lot of money. Do you see that Potter's going to have to play with those players, or will he get a few in this window?
That's a good question. I mean, the start of this window has been quite quiet for West Ham United, but that was to be expected because there's been such conjecture over the future of Julian Lopetegui going back over a month now, when before that Wolves game, it was almost make or break for him. He managed to win that game, and then the following 3 games they were unbeaten. There was a couple of draws and another win against Southampton, and then came those 2 defeats against Liverpool and Manchester City, and those heavy defeats. And then it was decided, are they going to change the managerial position? So you would have expected the transfer side of West Ham United in this window to be pretty quiet until the managerial situation got sorted out. Now we know Julian Lopetegui has been sacked earlier on today, and it's not actually official from West Ham United just now. It's just our senior reporter Rob Dorset says that Potter has actually signed that contract, so we're just waiting for official confirmation now from West Ham United that indeed he is the new manager, which we expect him to be, and signing a 2.5-year contract. But I'm sure in the discussions that Graham Potter will have had with Tim Stuyton and the board at West Ham United, the transfer window would have come up, the amount of money maybe would have come up, but also he would have been made aware the amount of money that was spent, as you mentioned, in the last summer's transfer window. So we'll have to work with some of those players as well. Now, I'm sure West Ham United will want to be busy in the final 2 or 3 weeks of this transfer window. I think he'll want to get his feet under the table, first of all, see what he's got, and then find out who he wants to keep and who they think they will need. But I think there'll be quite a lot of eyes on Tim Stuyton this time, actually, because as much as you're saying they won the transfer window in the summer, by deduction, it's not worked out because they've had to sack the manager. Now, the manager was chosen by committee. This one seems to be Tim Stuyton's choice because there was a little bit of disagreement, we're told, at board level whether Graham Potter was or wasn't the right man to take West Ham United forward. So he's put it out there. Graham Potter is his guy. He will have given him probably assurances about what kind of players and kind of budget they'll have. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of transfer business they'll do. And you're mentioning tomorrow, I mean, there's a press conference that's been called for 9 o'clock in the morning. West Ham United, like every other club, are duty-bound to hold a news conference before a game. They play on Friday night in the FA Cup third round against Aston Villa, but provided all of the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, which we think they have been now, according to Rob Dorset, then it will be Graham Potter who will be presented in front of the media. And I think it's at the London Stadium, this news conference, as opposed to the training ground. So that might give you a clue that something is afoot with regard to Graham Potter being officially announced as the West Ham boss.
Yeah, you'll see that news conference on Good Morning Transfers with us in the morning at 9 o'clock, as Darmesh says. Darmesh, I want to talk Man United with you now. Kobbie Mainoo and Alejandro Garnacho. People are saying, hang on, they're academy players at Manchester United. United might need to sell them. Do they?
Let's make one thing clear. Manchester United do not want to sell Kobbie Mainoo, and they do not want to sell Alejandro Garnacho. They're not actively looking to sell either of those players. However, and I think this is the case with every club, it can't just be pointed towards Manchester United as well, nobody in the squad is untouchable. Because if you could go to any squad in the country and, yeah, not for sale, then if an outrageous offer comes along, it's going to be considered. So I think that's the case with every single player. As for Mainoo himself, we're told he's got no concerns at all over his Manchester United future. He feels valued at the club. His contract is up until 2027, with the club holding a 1-year option on that contract. But they want to reward him because he's been so good for the club. They want to reward him with a new contract on improved terms. Talks have been underway over a new contract and communication lines remain open. As for Garnacho, he's got a contract that runs until 2028. And one thing I would say as well here, while Manchester United will be confident that they are compliant with profit and sustainability rules, it's clear that they would need to move some players on in order for Ruben Amorim to bring new players in to fit in the style that he wants to play. Remember, Ruben Amorim didn't actually want to join until the summer because he wanted that clean break. But it was now or never as far as United were concerned. So now he's having to learn about these players as he goes along. Hence why I think it will be a slower process. But come the summer, he wants to be in a position where United can actually go for it. But he also knows, and the board know, that homegrown players like Mainoo and other players who have come through the academy and been there since they were young boys, they would represent, as we've been talking about many times on this transfer show, pure profit on the books if they were to be sold.
Absolutely. And United have said, Michael, no player is untouchable, hence why we're talking about Garnacho and Mainoo. If you're a United fan, should that worry you?
A little bit, but you look at Manchester United at the moment and you hear any ex-player, I think there's an acceptance that it's going to take at least 2 or 3 windows for Ruben Amorim. It's clear he's got his own philosophy, but these players don't fit at all. It's been a really tough few years for Manchester United. Yes, they won the FA Cup in May, but maybe that was just one little positive on what's been a really dark year or two in terms of recruitment. But the last thing you'd imagine Ineos wanting to do he's selling someone who's been such a bright part of Manchester United over the last 12 months.
Yeah, well, and they're certainly doing things their own way, aren't they? So you never say never. There is a bright spot for Manchester United today, though, Dharmesh. Tell us.
Yeah, potentially great news this. Ruben Amorim, the Manchester United head coach, said that this particular deal was close, and I'm talking about Amad Diallo and his future. We're told an agreement has been reached between Manchester United and Amad Diallo over a new contract. The formal announcement could come very, very soon. He had entered the final 6 months of his contract. Now, United actually had the option to extend that for a further 12 months, but they decided not to exercise that option, instead enter into talks to give him a new contract to properly reflect the good performances that he's produced for Manchester United, particularly under Ruben Amorim. So it wasn't going to be just a case of extending for another year on the current terms. They wanted to get him a new extended contract on improved terms. And I think everyone has seen, and it's been widely recognised, that Amad Diallo has been effectively Manchester United's best player since Ruben Amorim took charge at Old Trafford. So good reward, and probably a deserved reward as well.
Yeah, he's gone really well for United. Believe it or not, we've actually got more from Manchester United on the way. We've got an update on Marcus Rashford next. Plus, interest ramps up in Kolo Randall Moani, and Dharmesh has the latest from Arsenal, I hope. Well, we wondered if Ange would gamble. He has, just 48 hours after signing goalkeeper Antonin Kinsky from Slavia Prague. The goalkeeper will make his debut for Tottenham against Liverpool in the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final tonight. That is Antonin Kinsky. We've seen him as much as his teammates have. Also, just another line from that game, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson both on the bench for Liverpool. Right, I promised you more Manchester United. I'm going to give you more Marcus Rashford. Dharmesh, is he any closer to leaving?
Possibly. I mean, what I would say is that Manchester United are aware that Marcus Rashford's brother has been in Milan, just exploring the conditions of a potential loan deal to AC Milan. But look, a number of clubs now are expected to formally approach Manchester United over a potential deal. Milan have made him their primary target for this transfer window. Borussia Dortmund, Juventus are also interested, among a number of other clubs. But just talking about Dortmund, their boss, Nuri Sahin, was asked directly about the potential signing of Marcus Rashford. He said this: anything can happen. It's not as easy as in winter as it is in summer. We'd be prepared to do something, but we'll only do it if it makes us better. We're not going to get carried away. But since then, Sky Germany have kind of poured a little bit of cold water on this by saying that maybe the deal that Dortmund would want probably wouldn't be agreeable to Manchester United, because we do know that any loan deal would require United to pay a substantial amount of the wages that Rashford earns. And even with that, Dortmund may find it a little bit too excessive to be able to pay that much. But look, never say never with that. Sky Germany are just saying at the moment, not so strong with Borussia Dortmund. But clearly Milan is a big target for Rashford. As for United, with regard to Rashford, we understand that they are now discussing internally what the best course of action is. Do they do a straight loan? Do they do a loan with an option or an obligation at this stage? Because they need to weigh up the risks associated with the potential market value come the summer. Because if they just do a straight loan and he performs well, it will send his market value up. If they do a straight loan and he doesn't perform so well, what will that do the market value? And the in-between stage, if they allow him to leave, is if they put an option price on it now that is probably halfway between what they want and what it is now, then they kind of hedge their bets. But then the gamble is he plays really, really well and they could have got much more money for him. So lots of things to discuss for United. We think that a permanent departure for Rashford will probably be reassessed come the summertime. But all options are still open. And that even means Rashford staying at Old Trafford beyond deadline day. A bit of news from today. Their training session, Marcus Rashford wasn't training with the rest of the squad, but I think that was planned because he was ill. He missed the game against Liverpool, and as a result, he had his own individual training session.
Been ill a lot, hasn't he, lately? Michael, tell us why Zlatan Ibrahimovic could be in amongst all of this.
Well, firstly, he's a huge fan of Marcus Rashford's, and he was a fan of his when he played alongside him in the 2016-17 season, and back then he called him England's future. Ibrahimovic is a representative, an ambassador of AC Milan, and clearly speaking highly of him. AC Milan have just come off the back of their Italian Super Cup win. They've got the charismatic Sergio Conceição as head coach now. Some fantastic shots of him in the dressing room with a big cigar, and maybe it's a fresh start for AC Milan and potentially a fresh start for Rashford.
If Rashford were to go, Dharmesh, would United bring someone in?
They're looking to strengthen up front by the sounds of it. And they've made inquiries to Paris Saint-Germain for their French international striker, Randal Kolo Muani. And look, this is not something that's just come up in this transfer window, because they've got a long-standing interest in this player. Back in the summer of 2023, they scouted Muani extensively. In the end, they opted to go to Atalanta and pay big money to sign Rasmus Højlund. But it's clear that they admire Kolo Muani, and it appears now that Muani is available again, because he's only started twice in Ligue 1 this season, and I think PSG will probably listen to offers for Randal Kolo Muani. They would prefer a permanent deal, but like I say, with a big player like that, it's always very difficult to do that, or at the very least try and do a loan which would come with an obligation to buy come the summer. So definitely one to watch, particularly if Marcus Rashford gets a move away.
Michael, if United are in for Muani, will they have to fight for him?
Spurs like him as well. Tottenham want another forward, and Ange Postecoglou said this to us in his press conference yesterday, pre-Liverpool press conference. Spurs will be busy this January. I'm not so sure now about a defender, but I do believe Spurs will sign a forward over the next few weeks.
OK, well, Spurs, as we know, we're in Carabao Cup action against Liverpool in that semi-final tonight. First leg at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Here's Ange Postecoglou.
Antonin Kinsky then arrived on Sunday, starts on Wednesday against Liverpool in a big cup semi-final. When did you make the decision and what did you see that led you to it?
Yeah, look, he learned all the lads' names, so that was the first test, and pretty comfortable with that. Look, it's somebody we've been tracking for a while. We're excited to get him in. I think whenever you make your debut for a new club, it's always a big occasion. Obviously, this one's got that extra little bit with the opposition and the circumstance. But I feel good about throwing him in, and we think we've got a really exciting player on our hands. I'm sure we'll handle it well. Yeah, I suppose on one hand you could think daunting. On the other hand, what a night to make your debut. Yeah, look, like I said, these kind of things are always memorable. So we've asked some big jobs of some of our guys so far this year, and it's worked out okay, and we're asking something from him. I'm sure he'll acquit himself well. Just tell us about the makeup of your midfield. Is that almost a learning from the league game 2.5 weeks ago to get basically an extra pair of legs, an extra sort of defensive player in there? Madison and Pape Sarr being suspended has something to do with it, mate. That's the only midfielders we've got left. So, that's probably played a bigger part in it. But, those three do have bags of energy, and we know against Liverpool, we're going to have to work hard in those midfield areas. First, to deny them the space, but also for us to be able to cause them some problems. So, I think obviously Bentancur missed the weekend and Biss didn't start, so hopefully their freshness will help us.
And how are you in terms of energy? I recall you saying after the league game, we maybe didn't have the energy to quite get up to Liverpool and amongst Liverpool, and those problems with sickness, illness, suspension are still there. Yeah. So is there enough in the tank tonight?
Well, we hope so. What I do know is whatever is in the tank will get emptied, because the players are just giving everything at the moment, and they'll do that tonight too. Yeah,
and Sonny comes back in from the weekend. I mean, you must look at that team and think, with Son, Solanke, Kulusevski, if you can keep it tight, you've got the players to hurt them.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. Look, they're a fantastic team, and it takes a lot to contain them, but we know that the flip side of that is we can hurt them as well, and that's what our intent will be tonight.
Good luck.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Spurs in action tonight. Ange will be hoping his keeper goes well. Arsenal lost last night to Newcastle, missed a load of chances. Arsenal fans, Darmesh, calling out for reinforcements up front. Are they going to get them?
At the risk of repeating myself, this window is very, very difficult, particularly for the type of player that Arsenal would want to bring in. Clearly, they are in the market, but we always knew that for Arsenal, and probably other clubs as well, when it comes to January, it tends to be a reactive window. Now, Arsenal fans will say, well, they need to react because Bukayo Saka's injured. Ethan Nwaneri, his replacement effectively in the last game, is injured as well. And they had a pretty poor performance by their own standards when they lost at home to Newcastle United in the Carabao Cup first leg yesterday. Having said that, it's very difficult to try and bring in a player of that quality, because we were talking about Marmoush. Eintracht Frankfurt are going for Champions League qualification. That's the kind of level of player that Arsenal would want to bring in. And the other thing you've got to take into consideration is that Saka and Nwaneri, they're coming back into the squad and fit back into the squad well before the end of the season. So what happens to the person who comes into the team, knowing that they're just going to be out of that squad as soon as Bukayo Saka returns to fitness? The other one factor that maybe they have to look at as well is they're still in a few competitions. Yes, it's not gone well for them in the Carabao Cup, but there's still a second leg. They're still in it. FA Cup this weekend starts against Manchester United at home. They're still fighting for the Premier League title. They're in the Champions League and in the qualification places there as well. So there are going to be lots of fixtures in the back half of the season. So maybe that will force Arsenal to maybe just strengthen that squad. They've gone into the market before in January. Leandro Trossard is a good example of how it can work, and he's done really well for them.
We have spent transfer window after transfer window after transfer window saying Arsenal need to strengthen up front. Can you understand the Arsenal fans' frustration, Michael, that it hasn't happened yet?
Well, especially when you see Alexander Isak being the difference last night. You know, one of the best strikers around at the moment for Newcastle United, and he's a big reason why they're going to be in top 4 contention. That's why they've got one arm, one leg, whatever you want to call it, in the final of the Carabao Cup. He's a proper out-and-out striker, and he caused Arsenal all sorts of problems last night. Arsenal played their first team last night. You know, everyone's got injuries, but Arsenal had a very good team out last night. A trophy is important for Mikel Arteta as well. Does feel like potentially a bit of a missed opportunity, but as Darmesh said, it's still early in the window, so we'll wait and see. And
as Darmesh said, that tie's not over. If Arsenal get the first goal up at St James's Park, game on.
Yeah. The second leg's nearly a month away.
It's a long way away. Lots can happen. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, the boys will go round all 20 Premier League clubs and give you the news in short. See you in a moment.
Welcome back to the Transfer Show. Time now for your bite-sized roundup from around the Premier League. Darmesh, let's get it underway.
OK, Michael. January was always going to be a reactive window for Arsenal, but if the right opportunity was to present itself to Mikel Arteta, Arsenal are hopeful they can act.
Well, it's encouragement for Aston Villa in their pursuit of Borussia Dortmund's Daniel Milan. Dortmund are understood to be looking at alternative forward options in the market in preparation for his departure.
Bournemouth have recalled striker Daniel Jefferson from his loan spell at Watford following injuries to Enes Unal and Evanilson.
Right, to Brentford. Keane Lewis Potter signed a new long-term contract with Brentford. The 23-year-old left-back's deal runs until the summer of 2031, and the club have an option to extend his contract by an additional 12 months.
Brighton remain interested in 18-year-old centre-back Vitor Reis from Palmeiras after being knocked back with their latest approach.
Right, let's get to Chelsea, and they could also use this window to trim their squad. Forward Christopher Nkunku is one player they would consider letting go if the right offer comes along.
Crystal Palace have approached Millwall about signing Roman Esse. Millwall are looking for a club record fee.
Right, Everton's new owners want to make signings in the January transfer window to boost their survival campaign. A new forward and midfielder are understood to be Sean Dyche's priorities.
Fulham boss Marco Silva says the club want to be active during the window and will do business if the right opportunity comes along.
Ipswich remain interested in Liverpool's Ben Doak and have already had one bid turned down. Talks continue at Portman Road about upping their offer.
As for Leicester City, they're looking to strengthen at right back, centre back and on the wing as they look to try and stay in the Premier League.
But Liverpool are in League Cup action tonight. Their manager Arne Slot says he is very happy with his current squad, but the club is ready to make a move in the market if the right opportunity arises.
Manchester City are in talks to sign Eintracht Frankfurt forward Omar Marmoush. City are also keen on long centre back Abdelkadir Kushinov.
Manchester United are aware that Marcus Rashford's brother and agent is in Milan talking to AC. Meanwhile, Kobe Mainoo has no concerns over his Manchester United future amid reports the club may to cash in on academy players to comply with financial rules.
Newcastle United boss Eddie Howe wants to keep Martin Dubravka at the club, despite reports he's on the verge to Saudi Arabian side Al Shabab.
Nottingham Forest will trigger the one-year option to extend Ole Aina's contract, which is up in the summer.
Sheffield United have verbally agreed a loan deal with Southampton for striker Ben Brereton Diaz. It's understood the loan comes with an option to buy.
New Tottenham Hotspur goalkeeper Anton Kinsky starts tonight against Liverpool. Good luck. The next target in January is a forward.
Graham Potter is expected to take over as a new head coach of West Ham United after Julian Lopetegui's sacking today. The club have called a press conference for tomorrow morning.
Emmanuel Agadou is having a medical in France ahead of finalising his move to Wolves.
I wonder what Agbadou's song will sound like. Right, Tottenham-Liverpool, Carabao Cup semi-final tonight. We've already heard from Ange. Here's Arne Slot.
Well, Arne, firstly, give us an insight into your team selection, because it looks like you're trying to get the balance between giving minutes to one or two, but also trying to take a serious step towards winning a cup.
Yeah, but every lineup would mean that last thing. But it is true that some players have played many minutes because others were injured. So Kostas, Tsimikas, and Conor Bradley were injured. That's why Trent and Korobo had to play almost every game. Now they are back after an injury, so it's an ideal moment for them to give them some playing time. Ibu Konate, I said it already, came back from an injury, so to play 2 days later again wouldn't be a smart idea in our opinion. And then there are probably choices like playing Allison and playing Jota. Those are two players that came back from an injury, and we think they need match rhythm in this period of time after coming back from an injury. So, yeah. Most of your questions answered, I think.
Yeah, very good. With Conor Bradley, and I think I already know the answer to this one as well, does that have everything to do with his qualities and him needing minutes and nothing to do with Trent being distracted or not maybe having his best game at the weekend? We know the answer.
Yeah, you do. It has mostly to do with Trent playing so many minutes because Conor was injured. And now it's a good thing that we have Conor back as well, so he needs this minute as well. So you see exactly the same on the opposite side with Robbo and Kostas, where as far as I know, Robbo is not distracted from a contractual situation. So I've said many times before, that is not in my mind when I make my decisions at the moment, till now, and it's not today as well.
Can you take lots of good lessons from the league game here a couple of weeks ago? You know that when you're at your best and you're working hard, you can cause them a lot of problems, you can score goals. You also know the other side of it. The minute you take your foot off the pedal, they're a very dangerous team.
Even if we have our foot on the pedal, they're still dangerous team because they can create a lot of chances during a game against any team in the league. They can score goals against any team in the league. What we can take from our game against United, where, in my opinion, and I think that was a general opinion, we could have been a bit more intense than we were. If we are against this team as intense as we were against United, then we will concede many more goals because this team takes much more risk when they have the ball. So yeah, we have to improve compared to last Sunday.
It's going to be good, that one, isn't it? Sky Sports Football, if you want to watch it, goals on Sky Sports News as they go in. Right, we're going to take a break on the transfer show. When we come back, we're going to talk Chelsea. Is Mark Gay on his way there? And is Kevin Nkunku on his way out? See you in a moment. So we're building up to Spurs Liverpool Carabao Cup semi-final, first leg at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That the side that Ange Postecoglou has gone with. Remember, Pape Sarr, James Maddison, both suspended. Rodrigo Bentancur comes back in to the lineup. And Michael, interesting name on the bench for Spurs there.
Yeah, Yang Min-hyuk. He's a signing Spurs made from the South Korean K-League in the summer. Mike is 18 years of age. He's you know, and Postecoglou said you won't be seeing him for a while, but with the injuries they have and the suspensions they've got tonight, he's on the bench. I don't know if he'll make any, if he'll come off from the bench, but it's where Spurs are really at the moment. But also, Sergio Reguilón had no future at the club. Jed Spence a year ago had no future. Sent back from Leeds, went on loan to Genoa. But credit to him, he's actually played really well over the last few weeks. Lucas Bergville was a deadline day signing last January. For me, I thought he might need a loan going forward as well. But look, that's the way Spurs are at the moment. Son's got a new deal. He hasn't had the best of seasons so far, but it's a tough night tonight for Kinsky. Tough night.
It is a tough night, because let's have a look at the Liverpool side then.
Oh.
And there it is, pretty strong. I think the key parts of that are that, it's that Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson, who both criticised at the weekend heavily, are both on the bench. But Conor Bradley came in, you'd expect him to do a job, and Kostas Tsimikas on the other flank. So that's the Liverpool side, a strong side. As I say, goals as they go in with us here on Sky Sports News. If you want to watch it live, it's on Sky Sports Football.
I think there'll be a few.
Right, we're going to talk Chelsea now. Mark Gay, Michael. We know that Chelsea want him. What do Crystal Palace think about that?
Well, I think the last thing Crystal Palace would want is their club captain to leave in January. That we spent a big chunk of our transfer shows in the summer talking about the 4 bids from Newcastle United. I personally thought it looked like he was going to end up at Newcastle, but one of the big reasons why he stayed at Crystal Palace was because he made no noises about wanting to leave the football club, and he ended up staying despite big bids from Newcastle United. Now, he's currently at Crystal Palace. Of course, Palace have also got Trevor Chalobah from Chelsea as well. When Palace signed Mark Gay from Chelsea, Chelsea put in a clause that they could match any offer that any club put in. They didn't do that in the summer when Newcastle were in for him. So it's interesting that there's been a development now. Now, for me, although his value would have gone down because his contract's running down, Crystal Palace, you cannot simply cannot get relegated. They're 4 points clear of the bottom 3 at the moment. They had a tough start this season under Oliver Glasner. It's picked up a bit, but the last thing Steve Parish and Dougie Freeman want to do is sell their captain in January.
Where's Trevor Chalobah in all of this, Dharmesh?
Well, he's on loan at Crystal Palace from Chelsea. We still haven't found, Michael will be able to tell us more on this, on the actual deal, whether there was an actual break clause or whether Chelsea can actually recall Trevor Chalobah from any kind of loan, because I've read both versions to say, yes, they can, and another one to say, no, it's a season-long loan, full stop.
Yeah, that's something we need looking at. It's someone, look, if Palace were to give one defender to Chelsea, it would probably give back Trevor Chalobah, because Gay is so important. And as I say, I don't think it's a particularly good look to sell your captain halfway through the season. It's a big second half of the season for Crystal Palace.
So let's stay with Chelsea. Before the break, I added a player to their squad, some bloke called Kevin Nkunku. I meant Christopher Nkunku. Took a bit of stick from these two, let me tell you. Anyway, could Nkunku... Could I not have a problem because he could be on his way out of Chelsea?
Well, there's been talk this week about interest from PSG, which has died down. There's also talk that Chelsea would consider letting him go. But he's doing very well in the UEFA Conference League, which Chelsea should win, really. They're clear favourites to win that competition. But the interesting point on Chelsea is something that we've talked about a lot on Sky Sports News and their model about they don't pay huge wages, but they give long contracts. Yeah. Now, I really admire when I listen to Enzo Maresca, and I've